Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League Racing TV YouTube channel for round 9, the penultimate round of Season 4 of TTML Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Commenters. I'll be taking you through proceedings on a Thursday night as per usual. And joining me once again in the commentary box for the second week running is Paco Suarez. Paco, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great, mate. Really happy to be alongside you one week more, and really excited about today's track since USA generally provides exciting racing, and there's only 2 rounds left, so I'm pretty sure everyone is going to give their rest.
Yeah, they're going to give their best for the rest of the season. 2 rounds to go. USA and Singapore make up the final 2 rounds of the season, and like you just mentioned there, USA, a pretty good track for league racing. It's a pretty difficult circuit to master as well. Quite a lot of corners ahead of these drivers. It's a circuit of compromise, really. The first half of the lap is very, very much aerodynamic focus, and the second half of the lap, you need the speed for that really, really long 1.2 kilometer back straight. So hard to find a balance around this track. In terms of this circuit, in terms of how much you enjoy it, do you enjoy the circuit a lot, Paco? Or is this a track that you tend to try and avoid?
I mean, overall, I have to say I pretty enjoy it, but it's true that probably the S's is probably the most tricky part because it's really easy to invalidate or get warnings. It's just like in Mexico last week that the S's were also quite tricky. But overall, I think it's a great track, that double left-hander where you lock up generally. It's also quite beautiful corner. So overall, I think it's a really nice track, and almost everyone, I think they enjoy racing in USA.
Yeah, it does tend to usually be a good race around this one as well. The strategy-wise, it's not as diverse as we saw last time out in Mexico, but tyre wear is still a pretty big problem to look at here. Whilst it is a relatively easy, I think, soft-hard strategy around this track, you can burn out your tyres quite quickly around this circuit, especially with the higher temperatures we've got because, well, there's 20 corners and a lot of them are very, very fast. So the tyres do tend to burn up quite heavily around this circuit. Before we get going though for the main part of the qualifying session, we're just going to run you through the championship standings because the championship can be won here tonight. Simply Superman still leads the way. He's got a 54-point lead over Jan in the championship. So Jan, if he wants to continue the championship on to the next round of the season, the final round of the season, he has to at least be in the top 2, and Simply Man has to be, I believe, lower than 15th for that to happen. Simply Superman's not finished any lower than, I think, 5th so far this season, so that is going to be a really tall order for that to happen. It's going to have to be a crazy race for Simply Superman to lose this one. Graham is in third on 125 points. He's 12 points clear of David in the racing point. Langfeld in fifth ahead of Jabu. Secret DJ Jill is level on points with Steve. And then 9th is Kiki. 10th is Tom in the Alpha Tauri. Very close in the midfield, actually, from, well, Langfeld in 5th down to Tom in 10th. It's only 21 points separating the 6 drivers. So that is a good battle to go on for the rest of the top 10. Just outside the top 10 in the points as well, Stinner and Sean. Stinner has finished on the podium 2 races in a row, so look out for him to make a charge up into the top 10 at the end of the season. And like I mentioned, it's looking very likely that Simply Superman's going to take away the title here. Simply Superman's picked up 4 wins already this season. We've seen so far as well, I mean, we saw it just after 1 round, I think you saw it just after 1 round, that Simply Superman is something else in qualifying. I think in qualifying no one has really been able to match him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has been quite fast. I mean, he has been showing it throughout the season. And then in the race, it was a little bit more tricky. I have to say Mexico was quite tricky because there were some incidents, and I'm pretty sure if Stina, I think it was the man who was involved in an incident in the first corners, if he didn't make the move he tried, I think he could have matched Superman's pace, but we cannot talk about hypotheticals. We have to talk about what happened. And hopefully today he can be matched, although it's quite a difficult challenge.
Yeah, it definitely is a difficult challenge. It's been a difficult challenge for drivers to match Simply Superman so far this season. The only one that ever has, really, is DJ Jill, but unfortunately he is out, I think, with a broken arm for the rest of the season, which is a shame to see. So hopefully he gets better as soon as possible. It's Langfeld that's going to lead us through a lap in qualifying then. He's running through the S session at the moment, 5th in the standings, with a win under his belt this season as well. Nice and committed through the S section in the middle part of the lap. It just slows up a little bit at the start of the second sector before we get to that back straight and that all-important 1.2 kilometer DRS zone. It is a really, really long back straight from turn 11 down to turn 12. Very slow hairpin at the end, or both ends of this run down the hairpin. Over the crest of the hill then, obviously the sun set a little bit for qualifying as well, so a little bit of glare coming off the track. It is difficult to spot your braking zone when the sun is out like this. Into turn 12, he brakes just at about the 75-metre board, gets the car turned in. You can be quite greedy with the curb on the other side of that hairpin, but Langfeld choosing not to be as he heads through the third sector now. Obviously double apex corners coming in through here. Through 15 he comes. Now 16, 17 and 18, the triple apex corner, based originally off that amazing turn 8 in Turkey. This one obviously goes in the opposite direction and rises instead of falls away from the drivers. Through turn 19 and off camber penultimate corner, easy to invalidate on the exit. Turn 20, a pretty simple final hairpin, a third gear corner. Out of the corner, Langfeld losing the rear of the car just a little bit, but he crosses the line to do a 30.4. That's the first time in qualifying that we can base everyone's lap times off of. Jan is on a lap breaker, Fens crossed the line and gone 0.3 of a second faster. Jan on a lap at the moment, currently second in the championship, and needs some luck here tonight if he wants to take it on to Singapore. He crosses the line at 30.6, is only third. Simply Superman next to crosses the line, and
wow.
It's a 29.2. I mean, we say wow, but are we shocked at this point? That is a a stunning lap time from Simply Superman, and yet again he is 9/10 clear of the rest of the field. There are a lot of corners where people can gain time, but already a 9/10 gap to the rest of the field. That is going to take some work from these drivers if they really want to get anywhere near it. Felgen's just gone third on a 30.1. Still no one yet, even in the 29s, to compete with Simply Superman's time. Sean crosses the line. He is 8th on the grid on a 32.2. I think Stinner might have made a mistake on his run, or has actually just started his run. So we'll keep
an eye. He went for another one.
Yeah, we'll go for a run on the same set of tyres, which is not the ideal thing you want to do around the circuit. Secret Dundee and Graham are currently on laps as well. Dundee trying to get a toe off the back of one of the, I think maybe off the back of his teammate. Dundee a little bit held up and has backed off because of it. So both Graham and Dundee are validating their runs. That's their session. That's their first ones over and done with. Across the line, I think that was Steve that's just crossed the line. Interestingly though, to see that half of the people that have set times already have gone for the medium and compound tyres. Steve the leader of those on a 31.6.
Yeah, and you can see that, well, Steve just sitting currently 6th. He's 1 second behind Janne, who is right now in 5th. And I don't know what's the difference between tires, but definitely the medium runners, we can see that they are quite dispersed throughout the, in terms of times. So hopefully they'll be able to do a second attempt and try to improve their times, because right now I don't think they are competitive enough. But interesting to see, as you said, because strategy generally in USA, or I don't remember it that way, doesn't play such a big role, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether it is something to do with weather in the race. We'll have to wait and see if people are doing this because they think that there might be some weather interference at some point early on in the race. That could be a good shout, but...
Secret Dundee.
Oh, Dundee
into the wall.
Yeah, had a spin coming through at the start of the second sector. Unfortunately, on his second run on that same set of tyres, he's managed to keep the car going, but he has completely cooked those tyres. It seems he's broken his front wing as well, and that is just another problem around this circuit as well. It is so easy to spin the car if you overcook it just that little bit. Atlas Copo, one of the next drivers to come around and finish a lap time. He has not had the season that he would have wanted. Hasn't finished, I believe, in the top 10 as of yet this season so far. He comes up towards the line. He goes 6th. The slow soft compound tyres, but he is crucially in that top 10 for the time being. David in the Racing Point coming to the end of his first lap in the session as well. Has been a pole sitter this season, has been a race winner this season, has had a horrid mid-season run. He crosses the line and he's the second driver into the 29s, and a 29.8, still 7/10 of a second off the top spot at the moment, but he has managed to get himself in there and clear of third place. So David, a pretty decent lap in the Racing Point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you pointed out, only second driver to get in the 129s, which is quite impressive in this first attempt. And we'll have to wait and see if, I hope that at least Break and Feigen can be able to get into those 129s. But at the moment, it seems like Superman cannot be caught. Because look at that gap, 6/10. I mean, we are not surprised, we're not shocked, but with 10 minutes remaining, unless Tina is hiding himself in these first minutes of the session, I think he's quite far from everybody else.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised actually if Stinner is doing so. He's now on his 4th lap on the same set of tyres, so he's obviously put quite a good amount of fuel in that car. All of them roads have been invalidated, so we'll see what his actual true performance is when he does get a lap in. Kiki's already invalidated his 2nd run in the qualifying session in 14th, so he is not going to be improving for the time being. He was the only one, I believe, on a lap. Flores actually, sorry, is on a lap. Yeah, Vos on a lap at the moment in 17th. He hasn't set a time as of yet. Has had a good improvement in pace this season. He's admitted himself he's struggled quite a bit in Division 3 over the past few seasons. He's managed to improve his pace this season, has picked up a couple of top 10 finishes. It's been his best season in TTML so far. He's running through the final part of the lap now up towards turn 19. Nice and neat this lap has been so far. Keeps it on the road as he heads up towards the braking zone for turn 20. Braking over the curb to try and square off the corner as much as possible towards the line. Flores goes 8th fastest on a 31.2 on the soft compound tyres. Do bear in mind though that the likes of Steve, Tom, Kieran Trapp, Sean and Charlie, all of their laps were set on the medium compound tyres. They've just gone out on a set of softs to try better their times. Kieran Trapp was up in the first sector but has invalidated, so we'll see what he can do if he pushes on with this lap. We'll see what his pace is like so we can get some sort of delta between the two compounds of tyres, but already we're seeing a lot of drivers invalidating laps left, right and centre.
Yeah, right now, I mean, I'm on board with Superman, who has done a really nice first sector, improving by 1/10.5 more or less. He has a camera in front, so hopefully he will not be blocked. He gets out of the way quite easily, the Haas. And he's now through the hairpin, so just ahead of this large straight. And I have to say, seeing he's on board through the S's, he just drives so smooth. He drives over the curb without exceeding track limits. It's just beautiful to be on board with him.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you look on board with him, it doesn't look difficult, does it? It looks so easy, so planted. There's nothing really amiss with the lap times. He's lost a little bit in the middle sector, but he is still up on his personal best. So we're watching through the final part of the lap. Interestingly, taking a bit of a wider line there, who turned 14 as he comes up towards the triple apex right-hander, then keeping it tight to the inside line for the shortest run through the corner. You can't really do that in the race because of the amount of fuel you have on board the car. It would just kind of understeers towards the outside of the track. Really close to track limits, but gets away with it as he comes up towards the line now. Was a 29.2. It's a 29 flat. He found a good amount of time in that final sector. It did look really, really neat and tidy. It was so 29.008. It is possible that we could see him into the 28s. Still, nearly 9/10 clear now of the rest of the field once again. Breaker Fence invalidated his run. Jan's improved to 4th place on a 30.1. Felgen on a lap at the moment. He comes up towards the line. He goes P3 on a 30.0 in the McLaren, so he's finding more and more pace as we get closer towards the end of the season. Graham now up into 3rd, into the 29s to 29.9 in the Red Bull, trying to solidify that 3rd place in the standings, doing a good job for himself as well. Kiki has gone 7th, meanwhile. Langfeld looking to improve his time, but really just a little bit all over the place in the middle part of the first sector there, and has invalidated as a result. So he'll stay in 9th for the time being. His hero Jokin has gone 8th in the McLaren. So once again, Simply Superman just miles clear of the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, his quality pace, I mean, we've been talking about it a lot, but his quality pace, it's just insane. I mean, the way he drives, I mean, you just can see the confidence. You know, most of the drivers I've been on board with, they do not go over the curbs, they do not attack like he does, and you just can see that it's all confidence, that he just floors it. I mean, he's giving his 100% and he's doing it perfectly. So hopefully next season, if he's this good, he can get a promotion, you know, and be in higher divisions, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd be utterly shocked if he's not in Division 2 next season. That he's definitely got the pace to do so. It's been a stellar season, really, from Simply Superman. He has got brilliant speed, but of course we head on to the next game for the next season, so that is one thing to note. That next game, and as far as we've seen from all the videos of the next game in terms of handling model looks completely different, so who knows, it could completely reshuffle the order. That would be brilliant to see as well, a completely reshuffled grid with new people running to the front of the field. David has crossed the line to start his next run in the session. He's running a little bit out of sync with everybody else, so we'll ride with the Racing Point man, who is still currently 2nd on the grid at the moment. No one has been able to surpass him on the front row yet. It's usually Simply Superman and Stinner on the front row. Stinner is still yet to set a lap time at this point in the session. He is on a lap at the moment, so actually we'll ride with Stinner instead. Stinner's a bit further along his lap, so we'll see what he can do in the Ferrari. Did do 4 laps on his first set of softs, so that suggests that he either accidentally went out with a bit too much fuel and decided to continue on, or he just wanted to get a little bit more higher fuel running into the session as he runs through the middle part of the lap. It's a 1 minute 0.7. That is a pretty competitive middle sector, but not in terms of competitive with Simply Superman, I don't believe, as he heads up towards the end of the lap. Yeah, a little bit too deep there into turn 15. I think someone else has just improved as well. That was Sean that's gone P10 on a 30.5 on his first run on the soft compound tyres. Stinner then up towards turn 19. Really attacking the curb on the inside nicely there. And then up towards 20. Gets away with running a little bit wide there. Towards the line, the Ferrari man comes, losing the rear of the car on the exit of the corner, and it's only a 30.3 in the end then from Stinner. So 30.3 right in the thick of the top 10, but not on the front row where we're used to seeing him.
But I have to say there's a lot of potential. I mean, we've seen the lap. It seemed like pretty unstable. Parts where he would like overdo it. I think he can improve his time quite a lot, as we see David improving his time by 2/10.
Yeah, 2.5 tenths improvement for David. That's the kind of improvement we saw from Simply Superman, and it's back down to a 6.5 tenth gap rather than a 9/10 gap between the two of them. But David's still on the front row doing a good job in the racing point at the moment. The only person without a lap in the session, by the way, is Secret Dundee, still yet to complete a competitive time and drives straight into the end of the pit wall by attacking the pit lane a little bit too aggressively. Kieran Trapp is on a lap in the Red Bull. His only time's been on the mediums. He crosses. He now goes to P7 on a 30.1. That's a good lap from the Red Bull man, who is another driver that's continuing to find pace as the season goes on. So he's up into 7th place. Simply Superman with pole position and Jan down in 6th. I mean, we're going to be talking about the championship a lot, but already it is Jan on. If we had 3 feet, he's on two back feet at this point, isn't he, Jan? It's going to be so difficult for him to try and break Simply Superman's run of form tonight.
I mean, if Superman doesn't win, I think it would be one of the biggest bottles I've seen in league racing. So hopefully he won't bottle and he will win it tonight, because it seems like it. I mean, I don't think Janne near him. So hopefully he'll be able to seal the deal tonight. But right now with 3 minutes remaining, I mean, everyone is in the pits, I believe, or in their out laps. It's look at that. I mean, Steve and Tom. Oh wait, right, no, never mind. I had the wrong detail. They're on soft. So Tom is about to start his lap. Well, he started his lap. He locks up into turn 1. He has been the whole session in those last positions. I mean, in P16, and he validates.
Yeah, difficult there for Tom.
I was about to ask about expectations from him until the end of the session, but he invalidated. So unless he has enough fuel, I don't know if he's going to be able to do another lap. It doesn't seem like it. He's using ERS.
Yeah, maybe suggesting he doesn't have the field to do another run. And one person who is on a run at the moment is Break FN in 5th place. He's not found any time on this lap so far, seeing if you can find anything in the final part of the lap to maybe put him on the second row of the grid. He crosses the line. He does find 2/10 and he goes P3, so that's a good improvement in the final sector from Break FN. Continuing after, his first race last time out, I believe it was, or his second race last time out in the championship. He had a pretty decent result last time out in Mexico. He's up ahead of his teammate already in the standings, so he's now up into 3rd place in this qualifying session, looking to try and build some pace and momentum ready for season 5. That's a good end to qualifying for him. Kieran Trapp hasn't made it at the pit lane in time to start his final run in the session. And when you talk about expectations for Tom, I mean, Conti have mentioned this a lot this season, that Tom was one of our championship picks coming into this season. He had a brilliant end to Division 3 last season. This season, though, it's just not translated across. He hasn't had the confidence, really, it seems. He's had flashes of pace throughout the season, but he's never really been able to capitalise on it, whether it's
Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's just been poor qualifying results, or whether it's just been the fact that he's come into a race, he's got really good pace, and then has made a mistake. It's just never really worked out for him, as I think Steve has crossed the line on his only run on the set of softs and has gone P8, so that's a pretty decent time from the Mercedes man. Graham is another one who is on a lap at the moment. He is half a second down, though, in the first sector, so that suggests to me he's made a big error, and he's not going to find any more time on this one. He won't have enough time either to get to the line and do another run himself. So Graham, the best he can hope for in the session is 4th. He'll hope that no one behind him improves. Jana has just started his final run in the session as well. More people starting their final runs in qualifying. We'll see who else is on runs. Kiki has dived into the pit lane. He's not improving on P10 in the session. Can't match his teammate in this one at the moment. Langfell is on a lap at the moment as well. He's coming through the first sector, as I think we've got one maybe of the AlphaTauris off the road.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, I think he's pinned, but he's back into track. I was watching Jan in his onboard, and he almost lost the back end in the same corner as I think Stina did. So, yeah, right now he's finishing the second sector, so let's see what he does. 2/10 improvement, that would be enough for third line, no, second line in the grid. But he needs something more because he needs to be close to Superman, and at the moment, he's not close.
Yeah, Dundee improves. His only run in the session's gone P9, so he's found enough pace to get himself inside the top 10. Yana then coming up towards the line. Sean, I think, was the car in front of him on the road. He's dived into the pit lane. Actually, that was Steve, that's dived into the pits. Jan then to the line, currently 6th, goes 3rd. It's a good improvement onto the second row. He goes just behind his teammate across the line. Felgen behind him wasn't able to improve, so he stays in 6th place. Stinner's on a run at the moment. He is a 10th and a half up in the first sector. The Haas cars will be next to come up towards the line. Charlie, with only a 32.5 on the medium so far in the session, crosses the line, goes 14th on a 30.4. Vlor is behind him on the road. 31.2 is his best run in this session. He goes across the line, only slightly improves and stays down in 17th place. Atlas Copo stays in 16th as well. He wasn't unfortunately able to improve. Sean's invalidated his final run in the session, so it'll be Stinner who'll be the last person to finish.
He's not on a good lap.
Yeah,
I mean, he bottled at the exit of that double left-handed corner. I mean, he lost the back end, and I think he lost all his time there. If he improves, that's a miracle.
He crosses the line, and now he does improve by 3.5 tenths, but that 3.5 tenths is only enough to get him at 7th on the grid. So while it's been a front row for the 2 previous rounds, only 7th this time around. 1,000th of a second slower than Felgen, mind you, but that mistake looks like it could have cost him a couple of places at least on the grid, unfortunately for Stinner. So only 7th for him.
He was improving 2 tenths and a half already, or even 3 tenths when I saw the end of the second sector, and with that exit, I can guarantee you that he lost like 2 tenths perfectly. So yeah, a bit of a F moment, F in the chat for the Ferrari, who hopefully will be able to make a comeback in the race.
Yeah, we saw an amazing comeback from him in Mexico, so do not write him off a 7th place grid start. It's still a great place to be, and it's simply Superman yet again on pole position in the Alfa Romeo. 6.5 tenths clear of David, who's on the front row this time around in the Racing Point. Yana, the championship rival to Simply Superman, 3rd on the grid. 8.5 tenths off. It's Break FN who completes the second row of the grid. And Graham, Felgen, Stinner, Kieran Trapp, Steve, and Secret Dundee who round off the top 10. Kiki, the first person outside the top 10 with a free choice of tyre. Hero Joking in 12th ahead of Langfeld, Charlie, Sean, Atlas Copo, Vlores. Tom is the final person on the grid without having set a run on the soft compound tyres, so he is majorly out of position, as are Langfeld and Hero Joking, 2 drivers who you would regularly see inside the top 10. So a few drivers a little bit out of place. The good thing about COTA is, though, that it is fairly easy to overtake around this circuit.
Yeah, definitely. Although one thing I'm not sure is about the strategy. I mean, here, what tyre should they start with?
That is a good question. I think it depends. It really does depend on the pace you can have on the hards. If I was someone maybe starting 16th, 17th, or 18th on the grid, I would definitely try and go for a set of hard compound tyres and run a little bit further on into the race. However, the problem is that because of the amount of corners we've got at this circuit, I feel like the pace difference between the softs and the hards would be absolutely huge. So I would not be surprised if we see a lot of drivers starting this race who are outside the top 10 on a set of medium compound tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll have to see. They have 20 seconds remaining to choose their strategy. So it's, actually 15 seconds until we see what they have chosen. But as you said, strategy is quite tricky here, and we'll have to see if there's any driver brave enough to try the alternative strategy. I'm pretty sure everyone will start on softs, but who knows? There's always a brave guy, so let's see what they've chosen.
We'll see what they've gone for. One person to always look out for in these alternate strategies is Langfeld. He is very, very strong on an alternate strategy. Looking outside the top 10, and everyone outside the top 10 has gone for a set of medium compound tyres. So obviously going for something a little bit different in this race. I would say it is a fairly regular soft hard, medium hard strategy around this track. If anyone can pull off the medium soft without reaching puncture territory by the end of the race, I will be shocked, because there are so many corners and you do struggle a little bit with overheating around this circuit. Not as bad as at some circuits, like you see maybe China, where you really struggle with front left overheating. This circuit is not too bad, but it's kind of more overheating all the way around because you're never really giving these tyres a break around the circuit apart from the back straight. So looking at that alternate strategy, we mentioned it's pretty easy to overtake around this track. Where do you see the likes of Kiki, Hero Joking and Langfell maybe getting in this race on that alternate strategy?
I mean, I know Langfell for a long time. We've raced in different leagues, and I know he's quite consistent with his pace. So I think a top 7 finish could be an objective. And Kiki is actually interesting because in this game I haven't raced with him, but we saw last week that he was not on a bad strategy. Then he bottled, but he was not on a bad call. So hopefully he'll be fighting with Langfell. I think both of them are going to be helping each other, to try and escalate some positions in the grid. So hopefully by the end of the race, as I said, top 7 I think could be a realistic objective.
Yeah, definitely could be a realistic one, like you're saying. Of course, one thing to note about this track is turn 1. I think it's very commonly talked about that it is a massively wide entrance into turn 1, an uphill braking zone as well. So people do feel like they can brake pretty late into turn 1, which you can do, but it tightens up really heavily on the apex and on the exit of the corner. It kind of halves in width in track on the exit of the corner. So you can see a lot of incidents happen in the first couple of corners of this lap, especially as well going into the S's if people aren't willing to back out of a move. So we'll wait and see what happens. Before we get going though, Pekka, who's your prediction for win? I think it's pretty obvious, but who is your prediction?
Yeah, Superman. I was gonna try and say something bold, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
If it is, yeah, I think literally anybody else in the field is a bold prediction compared to simply Superman for this race victory, but who knows, anything can happen. He's not won every race this season, so we'll wait and see what happens this time around. It's a nice and sunny circuit of the Americas for the penultimate round of the season. It's simply Superman versus David on the front row. Lights are out fairly quickly and away they go, and David gets a pretty poor reaction to the lights. It's Break FN who's had the best start of those in the top 4. He's trying to get past both of the racing points immediately into turn 1. Jan's going to have the better line around the outside, but he's forced off the road. And there we go. There's the contact. David squeezed between, I believe that was Graham and Felgen. That was a 3 wide, and that's a full safety car immediately. No one's retired, but just a lot of debris on the track. There you go. That is exactly what we spoke about. David was on the inside. I think it was Felgen in the middle and Graham on the outside. 3 into 1 doesn't go. They all kind of squeeze together on the exit at the corner. Ban is damaged for all 3 cars and Stinner as well, who was caught up in the aftermath, unfortunately. That has put a lot of drivers out of contention. What it has done, though, is opened up some opportunities now for those on the medium compound tyres. Hero Joking and Langfell already up to 8th and 9th. Tom was 18th on the grid. He's already up to 11th. He's had a stellar opening lap. That's played beautifully for the AlphaTauri driver. And other drivers that gained places include Clear and Chap and Secret Dundee up to 4th and 5th from, I think, 9th and 10th on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what happened in front was a bit chaotic, a chain reaction, and that made the chance, I mean, for Kieran and Secret Dundee. I mean, they were able to take the chance and gain some positions, but I'm pretty shocked because, I mean, almost everyone has been able, to gain more than 4 positions. Well, not everyone, but a couple of drivers. So really good start for most of the drivers, except the ones that have been involved on the incidents.
Yeah, it's just such a shame for those at the front of the field that had good qualifying. David, one of his better qualifyings of the season. Same for Felgen as well, and they're both caught up in it. We've got drivers in. Jan's into the pit lane, interestingly. Now that's a bit of a shock. Jan then, from 3rd place in the race with no damage to his car, has decided to come in under the safety car. So that is very interesting. Yeah. I think to be fair to him, he knows he's on for a set of medium compound tyres, so he's definitely going for a 2-stop. I think he knows that he can't win this race if he follows the same strategy as Simply Superman. He has got to try and do something else and hope for a bit of luck to put him in front.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it. I think he knows he has to do something different, and hey, I always say, if you don't see yourself able to beat the guy you have in front, well, try something different. And if it plays out well, good for you. If it doesn't, well, at least you tried. So it will be good to see how it plays out. Definitely, I mean, Superman is going to have the pace. But right now, I mean, his Jana is down to 12, so he has plenty of cars ahead. Unless he has a really good pace, I think he's going to have a difficult race. I mean, he will have to make lots of overtakes.
Yeah, we'll have to make a lot of overtakes, like you say, and the problem for him as well, the medium tyres he is on aren't really any different to the medium tyres of all the drivers in front, because they're all fresh out of the box and they've only done, well, a few corners at full speed, so there's not really any difference between the compounds of tyres. That'd be maybe a little bit difficult for Graham, Graham as well, and David have both gone for the mediums. Felgen and Flores have gone for the hard compound tyres. They're obviously looking to go as long as they can, maybe to the end, but that would be a really, really remarkable achievement if they can do that. Shorten and Stinner at the back of the field on a set of mediums as well, so they're obviously going for that two-slot strategy. That means we've only got 5 soft runners left in this race now, so it's Simply Superman that leads from Break FN. Kieran Trapp's up to 3rd now. Secret Dundee's up to 4th, and Steve rounds them off in 5th place. This, though, has really helped those that started outside the top 10. Hero Jokin started this race in 12th. He's already up to 6th.
Yeah, I mean, Langfield, Hero, Jokin, they've been helping each other somehow in the first corners. They've gained exactly the same amount of positions. Meanwhile, Kiki, who was the first runner in mediums, he's right now the 3rd runner on mediums, and I think he's gonna be on he's gonna be under pressure by Tom, who I think that is gonna have a really good pace in the race, as he showed last week. He's currently 9th. He has gained 9 positions, as you pointed out earlier. So let's see what he does. I think I would worry if I was Kiki, because he hasn't had the best start, and I don't think he's going to be able to hold on in 8th.
Yeah, we saw it unfortunately from him last week. He tried that audacious strategy, but as soon as he really came under sort of any pressure, he just kind of fell through the field, unfortunately. That kind of has been the story of Kiki's season. He's had good speed, but as soon as he gets himself into the mid-pack, he just can't really ever seem to get out of it. He just struggles a little bit in the traffic, and that is exactly where he is at the moment. So we'll see what Tom can do just behind him. Charlie as well has had a good start, by the way, in the Haas. Is up to 10th place from, I think, 16th on the grid, if I remember correctly. So he's had a pretty decent start. Atlas Scopo up as well, and it's Jan, those the first that have pitted. We've had 7 drivers, into the pit lane for their first stop in this race already, so look for this one to play out a little bit differently to how we expected. Completely different running order at the front. I think one thing to note as well, Break FN, brilliant start to this race. He just launched off the line.
Yeah, I mean, the start was tricky, and some of them have been able to get some good benefits of it. And I have to say one thing about Superman. On the restart, he's going to have to really watch out, because I think Break seems himself in a really good chance as safety car goes in this lap. And I think Break is going to go all or nothing. I think he's going to try. So, I mean, I'm not the one who has to tell the Alfa Romeo what to do, because he's the leader of the championship. But I think he will have to watch out. I think the Renault is going to definitely try something out.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't be shocked. I think Break FN knows that he can't let Simply Superman just drive away at the front of the field if he wants any chance of winning this race. Break FN has been cruelly denied of race victories in the past in TTML as well, so he'll be gunning for that first win in the championship. Simply Superman, though, has been here many times before already. He leads the way then, coming towards the penultimate corner. When does he decide to go for the safety car restart? Does he wait until after the hairpin? Does he go before it? We're right on board with the Alfa Romeo man, and now he goes. I thought he went there. He did go just before the braking zone for the hairpin. He has gone. Break FN's reacted pretty well behind him, but there's just not really the run. That he's not got the run out the corner to be close enough. He's on the overtake. He might have a look to the inside, but that would be an audacious dive bomb to get him from there. So Simply Superman is safe into turn 1. Secret Dundee having a look on the back of Kieran Trapp to try and make it a Renault 2-3, but he's not quite close enough on the exit of the corner to get the move done. No one really has been able to get a move done in the first couple of corners of the safety car restart, so now we wait for the back straight. Secret Dundee really pushing behind Kieran Trapp in the middle part of the first sector, but you have not got any chance really of overtaking at that point in the lap. We'll keep an eye as well on those further down who have made those pit stops already. We'll see what they can do in this race. It's Simply Superman, though, that leads the way. Break FN up into second place. Kieran Trapp runs third in the Red Bull, fighting for his first podium in TTML. Secret Dundee in fourth from 10th on the grid. Had a good start. A big slide in the background there from Kiki on the medium compound tyres as he comes out of turn 11, but he's not under threat for the time being, at least from Tom behind. No
David,
one. Yeah, David actually, sorry, making a move a bit further down on Graham, so he's had a good restart to this race, trying to get back past the Red Bull man, which he has done so. Those two come into contact in the first corner. Sean as well has passed Flores with a late dive down the inside of the Haas, gets the move done, an aggressive move, but Sean is up and past the hard shot runner of Flores and up into 16th.
And I think Stina's gonna... Oh, no, never mind. I thought he was gonna try and send it, but that exit killed him, and he somehow saved the car.
Yeah, good save from him. I think he was so sideways, the car ghosted for him. That was how sure the game was that he was going to spin, but he got away with it. He continues on, but he is down currently in last place with a long way to go in this race. At the front of the field, Simply Superman leads. He's broken that DRS zone already. It's 1.4 seconds back to break FN, with Kieran Chapp holding on nicely at the moment in third. Secret Dundee has fallen back in, well, it's both Renaults at the moment that have fallen back from the car in front, with Steve right behind Secret Dundee, and then there's a bit of a gap back to the first medium runner of Hero Jokin in 6th place. The crossover point between the softs and the mediums won't be far away. It'll only be a few laps away before the mediums and the soft tyres kind of produce the same amount of grip. Stinner still going for a move further down on Flores, and actually I don't know if it might have been contact. He might have spun Flores around. Flores has gone for a spin at the end of the S section. He's down to 18th. Stinner is up into 17th, going for a move for the S section. Never really works out, and it looks like that is what's happened, unfortunately, for Flores there. He continues on, though, with no visible damage, as it seems, so he can at least continue on without having to make a stop in this race. Tom close on the back of Kiki once again, but yet again he's just not got the straight line speed to get close enough. Without the DRS, it's really difficult to make the moves.
Yeah, definitely. And well, it seems like some people are struggling a little bit at the exit of the corners, like they're not being able to stabilize the car. And it's gonna be quite tricky, because when the tire starts to wear out, then it's gonna even be more tricky. So let's see how driver handles this situation. But right now, I wouldn't like to be in their place, as we can see DRS enabled now. So we might start seeing some overtake soon.
Yeah, it wouldn't be far away. Stinner's the first person with a time penalty. Unfortunately, we're going to be seeing a lot of those tonight around this circuit. The first person that does have DRS in the field is Kieran Trapp. The cork in the bottle at the moment is Secret Dundee. He's dropped well off the back, unfortunately, of Kieran Trapp. He's 2.5 seconds off the back of the man in third place, and everybody behind him, down to Stinner is 17th, has DRS. So that is, if there's ever a DRS train, this is the one. They're all right within one another. Pretty much everyone in the field of Flores at the back, and the top 3 in the field. Is Kieran Trapp going to be close enough to break a fin to think about a move? I don't think he quite is, but the pace they're sustaining at the moment is letting them pull away from the rest of the runners and putting them out of threat from those on the mediums a little bit later on in the race. So they're doing a good job at the moment to try and hold on to their first podium finishes of the season. Steve this time around does have DRS, but he's not close enough to get to the back of Dundee. The only person that I think could be close enough for a move is either Tom or Jan. Tom's not got the straight line speed. Jan has, though. Jan on his ERS looking to the inside line on Atlas Copo down towards turn 12. It's late on the brakes for both of them. Atlas Copo really late on the brakes, a little bit too late on the brakes. He goes deep into the corner, and Jan is up into 11th place. So he's started his fight back through the field. Just outside the top 10 now is Jan on that alternate strategy.
I have to give the credit for Atlas for at least trying, because he tried his best to try and defend that position, but it was quite difficult to do so. I mean, Jane had a better pace. He literally did quite well in the braking. He prepared the car, to have a really good exit, and yeah, he had nothing to do. So now Jane up to 11th and looking forward to make some overtakes. Oh, look at Kiki.
Yeah, Tom past Kiki there. Kiki losing the rear of the car coming out of turn 20, and Tom just breezes around the outside. He was tucked right underneath the rear wing of that Alfa Romeo in the final sector. Was Tom, and has got the move done. David now trying to get the move done on Atlas Copo up the inside of turn 1. Not quite close enough to get the move done, though, so we're staying 13th for the time being. Tom now passes Kiki, but there is a 1.5 second gap between Tom and Langfeld. Yeah. Yet again, it seems like Kiki in the midfield just struggling to sustain the pace that he maybe it looks like he could threaten. I mean, his qualifying wasn't that bad. He does tend to have good race pace, but unfortunately in the middle part of the stint, he just kind of seems to fall away a little bit.
And David making an easy overtake on the Williams. I mean, the way he prepared that move, it was beautiful. He just went for the traction, and he's now up to 12. And as you said, I completely agree with you. Kiki somehow not having... Oh, and another racing point making a move, this time on the Haas, and it's Jane. who is right now up to 10th. Let's see if Charlie tries to defend position. Yannick goes deep into braking. They has trying to have the exit round the outside. He tries, but I don't think he has the traction. Brakes late, but I think the Racing Point has it. Unless he tries to go for the dive, and there's contact, and the Racing Point goes off track into the gravel. He goes, and yeah, championship is over.
That is such a shame for Jan. That was really unnecessary contact as well, just riding on board with Charlie. I think Charlie kind of needed to back out of that one. There wasn't really the room, and that has caused Jan to go off the road. Jan's got away with no damage, but like you say, that is championship over unless anything crazy happens in the final part of this race. That is such a shame to see. That puts David now on the back of Charlie for the move into the top 10. He's going to turn. He's going to look to the inside line on the Haas car and is going to get the move done into turn 1. Very easy. Back. I say that though, very deep on the brakes down the inside. Charlie, gets the move done, so he's back up into 10th place. And Graham now thinking about a move on Atlas Copo, but cannot get through. These guys are starting to lose time to the drivers around us. Flores is unfortunately retired in the pit lane after that contact with Stinner earlier on, so he's sadly really given up on this race, which is a real shame to see, as Sean is the next person to pick up a time penalty, as well as Charlie. I think both at the same time have picked up a penalty. Tom closing back in on the back of Langfell, but now we've got a bit of a queue here. Hero Jokin thought about a move on Steve, but got a really terrible exit out of turn 11, so he couldn't quite get close enough.
Langfell.
Still all over the backers. Actually, Steve going Langfell going for Hero Jokin. Steve going for Secret Dundee. Steve looking to the inside line. Can't get the move done. Langfell down the inside.
Yep. Damage for the McLaren.
Yeah, he spun the car as well, just late on the brakes, trying to defend the move, and then in his defence, ends up over-attacking into the corner and running straight into the back of Steve's car. That puts Langfell through as well. Hero Joking with the damage, was the lead medium runner. That is him out of the running as well. David got past Charlie in all of that chaos as well. Jan is still down in 17th place, but David is now up into 9th. That now puts Langfell as once again the lead driver on the alternate strategy. He always seems to end up in that position. He's up to 6th place, but already the top 3 have disappeared from the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, Secret Dandy has been a wall, nobody has been able to overtake him, so he has caused this big train behind, and you can see that the gap is really big. I don't think anyone else is going to be able to fight for the podium. I think Kieran, Break and Superman have the podium guaranteed, unless they bottle, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't know the power of the alternate strategy yet, but I doubt it's going to be that overpowered compared to what the drivers at the front of the field are doing. Simply Superman just continues to walk away from the front of the field, as he has done so many times this season already. On board with Langfell, he's getting closer and closer to the back of Steve. The problem for Langfell is that Steve has the DRS off the back of Secret Dundee and can't seem to get the move done on the Renault. This time around though, Steve is much closer to the back of the Renault. Can he get a move done this time down into turn 12? And look at that, the power of the overtake and the DRS. Dundee moves to the inside line though, and actually it's going to be pretty close towards the braking zone. Dundee has the inside line. Steve really deep on the brakes around the outside. Dundee trying to hold on to it. Steve
Langfell
runs off, gets a penalty for his trouble. Langfell trying to come through as well. Steve gets the move done and is up into 4th place. Dundee trying to fight back though. Langfell trying to get in on it. He dives to the inside of turn 15, but Dundee's going to have the momentum around the outside, I think, to try and hold on to this one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he'll have the inside line for the triple right-hander, and Langfell can't hold it around the outside. Jan's gone off. Yeah, Jan spun. He's out of the race. That's a virtual safety car. That's it. That's championship over. Surely that is now championship over. With that crash for Jan, I think that's it. Simply Superman just needs to finish this race, and Matt could be championship over. And Steve and Secret Dundee making use of the virtual safety car. They come in early to try and bring themselves back into play.
And Atlas. And Atlas Copa as well, so some medium runners are pitting. We can see that they've chosen the medium compound, which for me is a bit risky because 17 laps, I don't think it's doable in those tires, but hey, they are the drivers, they're the ones who made the call, and we'll have to see at the end of the race how it works out. But pretty, I have some doubts in this strategy, but it could work out quite well. We'll have to wait and see.
What I have even more doubt as well is that Atlas Copo's ended up, as Charlie's got a drive-through penalty, unfortunately, for speeding onto the virtual safety car. Atlas Copo's also gone for the mediums, interestingly, even though he started on them, so he's going to have another pit stop in this race. So that seems a little bit of a of a, I don't know if that was a mistake from Atlas Copo. That is not the strategy he wants to be on. Stinner's gone for the mediums as well, but remember he started on the soft, so he can technically go to the end of the race on those tyres. But I agree with you that 18 laps on those medium tyres is going to be a tall order, and they're going to fall off by the end of the race. That is going to be pretty difficult for them to get to the end. They might have good pace at this point in the race. It all depends on what their pace is at the end, and whether BreakFN, Kieran Chapp and Simply Superman staying out for a few more laps will allow them to run the medium tyre towards the end of the race. We will wait and see. Langfell then now leads the medium runners trains in 4th place. Tom is now 5th from 18th on the grid. What a race he is having so far, and he's tucked right up behind Langfell as well, looking to maybe get past the Williams man. Kiki and David just in behind as well, so David's managed, despite that damage on the first lap, to bring himself back into contention, unlike his Racing Point teammate who's had a bit of a shocker unfortunately here today, which is such a shame to see. Graham's got the move on Charlie as Charlie comes in to serve that drive-through penalty. Kieran Chapp is in for a set of medium compound tyres, so he's the first of the top 3 to come in, maybe looking for an undercut on BreakFN to try and get into 2nd place, but either way, is he actually going to hold on against Steve? Here comes Steve down the pit straight. Kieran Chapp is going to come out, I think, behind here. He's going to be right on the apex of turn 1 when he turns in. Oh, Steve had to back out of the corner there to avoid him, but Steve's going to have the inside line for turn 2. Kieran Chapp trying to hold on to it, but the pit under the virtual safety car has worked beautifully for Steve and Secret Dundee, and they're right up there now with Kieran Chapp.
Yeah, really nice strategy. We'll have to wait and see if it's worth it, at the end of the race, because as we pointed out earlier, their tires are going to be really, really bad. But maybe it works. At the moment they are ahead of Kieran. That probably is what they wanted, and I'm pretty sure that this fight between these 3 is going to help Langfell and Tom.
Yeah, big time. It should help those 2. If these 3 continue to fight, those 2 at least will definitely be right in the battle. David as well, not far at that. Can't cut Kiki out as well, as Felgen looking for a move now on Graham on the hard compound tyres. Can't quite get the move done. But Felgen on the hards has got pretty decent speed at this point in the race. He's doing a good job of holding on and in fact being faster than some of the medium runners around him, as Stinner's got the move done on Atlas Copo. And it's up into 14th place. He continues his recovery in this race. Steve held on to that 10th place ahead of Kieran Chapp for the time being. We now see if BreakFN and Simply Superman come in. They don't. They're staying out for another lap. Simply Superman stays out another lap. So does BreakFN. So he's deciding not to react to the undercut. He did have about a 2.5 second advantage over Kieran Chapp when he came into the pit lane. So it's going to be close for BreakFN. But him staying out this long gives him the opportunity to run to the end of the race without any sort of tyre problems, and we already know that he seems to have the pace over those 3 drivers that have already pitted to be able to work his way through them if he does get a little bit stuck.
I mean, just saying that in the last lap, Steve has been able to do a 134.8, while Break has done a 136.1. Yeah. So you can see that the guys behind are going quite fast. So if the Renault doesn't pit soon, he's going to be overtaken by these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be really close. If he comes in this lap for BreakFN, it's going to be close to holding on to that net 2nd place in this race. Kieran Chapp's not quite been able to get close enough to Steve to make a move and get past the Mercedes. As I say that, though, he has a pretty decent run coming out of turn 11. He's using his overtake, but the DRS doesn't seem all that powerful around this circuit, at least. And Kieran Chapp, I don't think, is close enough down this straight to get the move done. He is not, so he'll stay in 11th place for the time being. These 2 just starting to drop Secret Dundee just a little bit, but Dundee still having, at the moment at least, one of his best races of the season so far, doing a good job in that 12th position. Langfell still leads those on the medium compound tyres, but he's got Tom, Kiki and David right in behind him. Super Superman and BreakFN then are both into the pits at the end of lap 12. That means only 16 laps on the medium tyres. That should be fairly easy for them. They're not going to really struggle with any sort of tyre wear problems to the end. Simply Superman should be safe in the net lead of this race. We'll keep an eye on where BreakFN comes out, though. Was running in 2nd place as Tom's looking for a move here on Langfell towards turn 1. It's going to be late on the brakes down the inside, locks up a little bit, but is he going to get the move done? Langfell's got the switch back on the exit.
Beautiful.
Brilliantly read that one from Langfell as he goes around the outside of turn 2, which will become the inside for 3, and he's got it done. Langfell back into the lead of the race. Really, really smart driving there for Langfell to record that one. And Break is behind all of them. Wow. He's behind all of them, including his teammate. So he's gone from a net 2nd to a net 5th place. And that has put Steve up into a net 2nd place now by pitting under that virtual safety car.
And I think he's not the fastest. I mean, you can see Kieran is all over. I mean, when you are that close to the car in front, it means you're faster than the car in front. And I think the Red Bull will try to overtake. But I don't think Steve is going to give up that easily, despite that the guys behind having more pace. So I think, as we said earlier, I think this fight is going to help the guys in the medium compound to try and gain some time on these guys, virtually speaking, because they haven't made their pit stop yet. But it's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, we've got a fight now between the two Renaults as Breaker Fenn's going to go down the inside of Secret Dundee. Smart from Secret Dundee, he doesn't fight that one. I think he knows that his teammate is the faster of the two here tonight. And Breaker Fenn's up into 11th on the road. A net 4th place of everyone that's pitted. Secret Dundee loses the rear of the car. Big time there coming out of turn 14, but just about gets away with it and holds the car in that straight line at the moment. So able to continue on. Stinner is the car behind them that's pitted. He's 7.5 seconds back though, and so does not really look like all that comfortable in that Ferrari here tonight. So I doubt that he's going to be able to get close enough to challenge those cars in front. We now just wait for the medium runners to come in for their pit stop. Simply Superman's right in this queue at the moment. He was going to pass Sean right now for 7th place on the road. Down the inside of the Mercedes he goes. He's up into 7th place. As Simply Superman got a bit of traffic in front of him, but it shouldn't affect him too much. It's Langfeld that still leads from Tom, Kiki and David. The top 4 of those on the medium compound tyres, they're all still yet to pit again in this race, as is Graham and Felgen. Simply Superman the first of those that have pitted. What do we think about Felgen here? Do you think Felgen could possibly take those hards to the end of the race?
It's not easy. I think he doesn't have anything to lose, so he will try. But it's a really difficult task. I mean, mediums can make 18, 17 laps. I think hards could perfectly do 23, 24. But it's going to be difficult. His tires are going to be dead by the end of the race.
Yeah, they definitely are going to be there by the end of it. And Simply Superman down the inside of Felgen is up another place. Is up into 6th is the Alfa Romeos, who's doing a good job. That battle for net 2nd place isn't that far behind Simply Superman, but I don't think Simply Superman seems to be pushing all that hard. While he doesn't have a lot of ERS, he's not all over the road. I think he's just cruising around knowing that his championship rival is unfortunately out of the race. So he just needs to bring it to the end of proceedings tonight. It's still Langfeld that leads. Coming on to lap 15 of this race, we'll have to give it a couple of laps, I think, before we see any of these medium runners that come into the pit lane. But we've already seen from those that came in a little bit earlier on that the undercut around this track is massively powerful.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it's true that this virtual safety car helped a lot, but you can see that right now Steve and Secret Dandy are 7 and 9 seconds respectively from the leader, who is Langfeld, and they were fighting for position just before the BSC came out. So they've been able to catch up a lot, and I have a lot of doubts if Langfeld and Tom are going to be able to fight a podium position, because I don't know what's the advantage, the benefits that the soft tire gives you.
Yeah, it does seem like the alternate strategy around this track doesn't really seem to work, because when those on the softs come onto the mediums, they have such a massive pace advantage that they can just build a gap that keeps them safe towards the end. We'll have to wait and see what the kind of pace is for those in the top 4. Unfortunately, though, all of the top 4 have penalties, so that also plays against them in this race, sadly. The only people in that battle at the moment for the podium places as well that don't have penalties are Kieran Chapper and Break FN, currently running in 10th and 11th. Secret Dundee's just picked up his first. Steve has also got a penalty as well. Good thing for Steve now is that he's got his teammate in front of him, which could help him defend that place for the time being at least. Simply Superman continues to try and work his way through the field. He's up to 5th on the back of this queue of cars that are still yet to pit again. He doesn't really have to fight his way through this field, because they will be coming into the pits in a few laps time, and he will resume the lead of this race. But knowing Simply Superman, he'll want to try and pass as many people as he possibly can. None of those top 4 into the pit lane. Actually, as I say that, David dives in. So David in at the end of lap 15. 13 laps on a set of soft compound tyres. It's not impossible, but I would say it would have been worth maybe staying out a couple laps longer, just so the softs don't dive at the end. If you just go hards, I don't think that would really be the option. He has gone for softs, so 13 laps on a set of softs. If I was him, I probably would have stayed out a couple of laps longer so the softs don't die off at the end of the race.
And we can see that Steve has been able to overtake his teammate. I don't think he has defended that much. And we'll have to wait and see if he's able to block the Red Bull, who is looking really, really fast. I think Sean is going to try and defend to try and help his teammate, but it's not going to be an easy task. It's going to be a grueling one. As we can see right now, the Red Bull driver all over the back. This Mercedes, it seems like he has the run. I think he's going to make the move just before the hairpin. The Mercedes tries to cover the inside as he brakes quite late. The Red Bull going for the switchback really has a really nice traction there. I think there is where you can see the difference in the tire. And watch out, because now the Renault is going to look and try to make 2 moves in one. Let's see if he's able to send the car down the inside. As he does it, brakes late, locks up a little bit the tire,
nice.
But he's able, and he's up to 8th. Really, I have to say, really smart break. I mean, he waited. He just set it behind, seeing how the Red Bull tried to move. And in the straight, boom, he made both moves. So really smart.
Yeah, really, really smart there from Breaker Fen. I think Kieran trying to feign for that move at turn 11, then put him on the back foot because he had to take such a slow run through the hairpin. Yeah, into the pits then comes Tom and Langfell. Simply Superman then resumes the lead of the race. Yeah, they're all into the pit lane. By the way, David came out quite a way back actually from the rest of the people on the medium runners. He's about he's about 9 seconds behind, so that is a big gap that he's going to have to try and work his way through. We'll see where all the other medium runners come out relative to one another. Langfell comes out of his box just ahead of Tom, but where are they relative to David? David has breezed past a lot of them, so David, by pitting 1 lap earlier, has actually managed to get from 4th in that queue to the lead of the queue. So that early pit stop for David actually seems to have worked out quite nicely for him, and only 1 lap longer on the softs won't be too terrible compared to the other soft runners behind him on the road. So that's worked out pretty nicely for him. He's in 10th. It's Atlas Copo that runs 9th, but Atlas Copo does have to make another stop in this race. He's only run the medium compound tyres in this race so far, so we'll wait and see when he does decide to come in to the pits. Crucially as well on this lap as well, Break FN has been fast enough in the first sector to get back within DRS range of Steve, so it looks like it might be about to be normal service resumed at the front of the field with Break FN and Kieran Trapp fighting back onto the podium.
And Langfell has been able to be fast enough in that first sector, helped also by Atlas Copo, who blocked the racing point. Well, actually, his teammate. So he has been able to make the move, and he's now behind David. So, yeah, despite that undercut from the racing point, he's not that far away. I mean, there's only 3 tenths separating both of them.
Yeah, that was a good first sector then for Langfell. Like you say, helped out by his teammate, but either way, he made the most of it. We'll now see how quickly they can catch and pass Stinner for 8th place on the road. It's only 1.3 seconds. Tom's now got the move on Atlas Copo as well as he tries to keep up with the 2 drivers in front. There's a little bit of a detachment behind. Kiki had a slow pit stop for some reason. He's either had a slow pit stop or he's made a mistake somewhere on this lap because he's dropped back behind Graham and well out of contention. Sean into the pit lane now for a set of soft compound tyres, so that will put these drivers up another place. And David, I think, was already nearly within DRS range. He was within range coming out of the last corner. He wasn't within range when he crossed the detection point 2 corners earlier, so that's how quickly he's closing in on the back of Stinner's car. Stinner's only 6 seconds behind Secret Dundee, so Secret Dundee's not out of the woods just yet. It's very possible that David and Langfell, and maybe Tom as well, could close in on the back of Secret Dundee, but either way, the penalties for these drivers have put any podium chance out of the window for them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm quite surprised as the softs at the moment they're showing that they are quite strong right now, the soft runners. So it seems like they're gonna have a chance to try and catch that group in front from Kieran, Break, and Steve. I think it's quite possible if they are able to overtake Stina in this straight. I mean, David and Langfell. I think it's gonna be quite possible that they are able to pull out that one.
Yeah, and here we go then down the straight. They're all deracing down the straight, but David's got the inside line on Stinner. Langfell as well, looking down the inside, is going to try and break late. Gets the move done down the inside, and Stinner just doesn't have the traction on the exit of the corner to fight it, so they're both through on Stinner. That's worked out nicely for the pair of them. They're now up into 7th and 8th, and Stinner has spun the car, so that has put Tom back in front, and Stinner into the wall. Unfortunately, I think has broken his front wing. He has so Stinner's night goes from bad to worse to utterly horrible. It's been a bit of a disaster tonight for the Ferrari man. It's not what he would have wanted after 2 podium finishes in a row. It's down to 13th place, but that has benefited Tom, who didn't have to make the move on the Ferrari man. Graham and Kiki as well also haven't had to do that either, so they're through and up a few places. The Graham and Kiki now on the back of Atlas Copo for what would be 10th place on the road. Graham got a brilliant run there coming out the final corner, and there's just no fight back from Atlas Copo. Nothing he can do, he just doesn't have the pace or the grip, and Graham down the inside into turn 1 gets the move done. Kiki as well thinking about the move coming out of turn 1 and down towards turn 2. Just look at the traction he's got coming out of 1, but the long run around 2 is not working for him, and that's going to put him on the back foot through this first sector as Graham starts to pull away from in front of him. Looking further up the field as well, Breaker Fen now right on the back of Steve to try and play third place on the track and net second place in this race.
I mean, if these guys for third fight a lot, I mean, it's going to help Langfell and David. I mean, they are catching quite quickly to Secret Dundee. After that, they will be, as we can see, oh my god, Break just passing like a rocket ship on Steve. So Steve is right now down to 4th. And let's see if the Mercedes is able to hold on. I mean, right now there's a McLaren in front who could help try and block the Renault. But right now it seems like Brake is the fastest of all of them.
Yeah, he absolutely flew by in a straight line. He's got a lot of straight line speed in that Renault and a lot more ERS than Steve as well. So that really helped the Renault man out, and that made that move far easier than it needed to be. Really, it just looks so easy for him, and he's up into 3rd place. It probably won't pass Felgen down the pit straight, but he will have an opportunity to get him maybe down the back straight and up into 2nd place on the road, which could put him safe. As Dundee's into the pit lane, interestingly. That's very interesting. I don't quite understand why Secret Dundee has... Yeah, 2-stop race, but I'm not quite sure why he's done that, if I'm completely honest, because he would have been able to get to the end of the race anyway on the strategy he was on. I think maybe he's been freaked out by the pace that the soft runners behind and just decided to, rather than sit and be swallowed up by the pack, has come in and put a set of soft tyres on himself.
Let's see how it works out. Right now he's 3 seconds more or less behind Sean, so it will be interesting to see his pace and if he's able to come back through the field, but not gonna be easy. I mean, he only have 8 laps remaining, and I don't think that the tire difference is that big. But it will be interesting to see how it works out. I don't think it's gonna play out well, but
and
he gets a 3-second time penalty. So not sure.
Yeah, a little bit of a bizarre choice. But Breaker Fen, meanwhile, and the other Renault is going forwards while Dundee is going backwards. Breaker Fen was 7/10 of a second back coming out of the turn 11 hairpin on the back of Felgen, and the straight line speed of that Renault, he just breezed past by the end of the straight. That is a rocket ship in a straight line that Breaker Fen has got, and that's worked out beautifully for him. It's back up into 2nd place on the road. Felgen continuing on the hards, trying to get to the end of the race at the moment. Currently 3rd on the road. He's got Steve right behind. Steve has got 2 penalties to his name. Kieran Trapp doesn't have a penalty, but Kieran Trapp here has got to get a move on, hasn't he? He has to get past at least Steve and Felgen. He's actually going to go for the move here down towards turn 1. Looks to the inside line. Steve decides not to defend against it. Kieran up into 4th place. Steve here beyond the switchback on the exit of the corner. We've seen this work, but this time around not got the pace on the exit of the corner. Kieran Trapp holds 4th, and that's exactly what he needed to do, because if Kieran Trapp stayed behind Steve too long, he would have been swamped by the soft runners behind.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board with David and Langfell, and they gained a whole second in just one sector, which shows how fast the soft tires are at the moment. And yeah, Kieran has done what he needed to do, because he needs to find a way to escape from the soft runners. And let's see how fast he makes the move on the McLaren, who I think that he has some. Yeah, he has DRS, so he's gonna be able to defend at least one more lap from the Red Bull.
Yeah, at least one more lap defensive there from the McLaren. The one problem for the McLaren is derating down the back straight, so he's not got a lot of DRS in his back pocket to use when he does fall out of DRS range to break F1 in front. So Kieran Trapp looking for that first podium. He really wants that first podium in this championship, but David and Langfell, trying to have something to say about it, are absolutely flying, as is Graham. We've got to keep our eye on Graham in 9th place in that Red Bull, closing in on the back of Tom very quickly. He's the only one of the soft runners that does not have a penalty, so he's going to gain quite a few places as it stands when those penalties do come into play. So we'll wait and see where he falls into this pack as well as they all start to battle. David, the gap was 3.8 seconds at the start of this lap. It's down to 2.2, so David 1.6 seconds faster than the medium runner of Steve in front of him on that lap. Absolutely flying. David will be within DRS range by the end of the next lap.
And one thing I want to ask you, I mean, don't you find weird, Tom in the first stint in the mediums, he was able to fight with Langfell, he was on the same pace, but on the softs, he has disappeared. I mean, he's in 8th, it's true, but he's 2.5 behind Langfell, and it doesn't seem like he's cutting. As you said, Graham is actually catching Tom. So what has happened to the AlphaTauri? I mean, maybe he doesn't feel comfortable in those soft tires.
That is maybe the case. We've seen, obviously we mentioned so far tonight that Tom doesn't necessarily perform as well as he should do in qualifying. And obviously pretty much every qualifying session takes part on the soft compound tyres, so that it's starting to lead me to believe that the harder the compounds are, the better he'll perform, as Kieran Trapp goes down the inside of Felgen and is up into third place, so he gets the move done on the McLaren. He is up back onto the podium, and that is 2 cars now between himself and David Langfell, so he's got a little bit of protection over the next few laps to the lead of the soft runners as it stands. But yeah, like I was saying, this kind of performance from Tom is leading me to believe that the harder the compounds are for the race, the better he'll perform. So places we go to, like China, like France, where you have to run a medium-hard strategy to really be competitive in that race, that seems to be maybe where Tom is a bit more confident. On these races where it's soft-medium strategies, Tom just doesn't quite seem to be able to have the pace on the soft compound tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to completely agree with you there. And right now, look at that. David already in, well, almost in DRS range he will be after the first sector, but he's already there. And I think the Red Bull, I mean, they have some penalties, David and Langfield, so I don't think Kieran is worried about them. But yeah, definitely Steve, I think he knows that that position, even 6th, 7th, and even 8th, is already lost.
Yeah, it does definitely look like that is going to be the case. David, Langfell and Tom only with the 1 penalty compared to the 2 for Steve, so that is another disadvantage. Kieran Trapp now with a penalty, so just as we were saying he wouldn't be worried, that is going to put a little bit of a chink in his armour. That is not going to be good for him. The problem as well for Kieran is he's still got Felgen right behind him on the road. Felgen looking to come back at the Red Bull man down the back straight. Is actually going to go maybe for a move here as Kieran Trapp's derating down towards the end of the straight. Felgen using up his ERS to try and get him back into third place. Looks to the inside, backs out of it. He thought about the move, wasn't close enough on the brakes, backs out of the move.
Maybe he saw the penalty and he thinks, why trying the overtake when I can stay behind?
Maybe, yeah, and if the problem is as well, is if he does start fighting with Kieran Trapp, that only gives more an advantage to the soft runners behind, because they can capitalise on those battling in front. So maybe Felgen thinking about just sticking in behind and holding the soft runners up and helping him secure a place on the podium. But you can see from David, he's all over the back of Steve in the final part of the lap. Might have a look for a move maybe into turn 1 here if he can get a good enough run out of 20. Steve a little bit of a wobble on the exit of the corner. David though not quite close enough. Steve using some of his ERS to defend down towards turn 1. Neither of the soft runners close enough. That's a lap gone, and they've not been able to make any progress so far.
Yeah, but I think in the now they will be able to make it in the long straight. We'll have to wait and see, but I think they have a really big chance. I mean, look at David, he's all over the back of the Mercedes. Oh, look at that. I mean, that traction was terrible as he gets another 3-second time penalty. So that's 9 that will be added at the end of the race. And yeah, I think Steve is struggling a lot. I mean, pitting that early is costing him a lot of time.
Yeah, it really is costing him time now, as he's now fallen out of DRS range to Felgen, which is a bit of a nail in the coffin, unfortunately, here for Steve. I think he's not really going to have anything to defend as David gets a brilliant run out of the hairpin. And look at that, Belly doesn't even need DRS, he just breezes past the Mercedes. What about Langfell? Langfell's going to do the same. Langfell's just going to breeze past.
I mean,
straight line speed advantage is massive. Steve, I don't know if Steve is running a high downforce setup, but if he is, that's really affecting him, because that was far too easy.
Have you realized in this second stint, Langford has just like sit behind David, and he has been making all the moves behind David. I mean, he has been quite clever. Like he hasn't tried anything weird. He has like been sitting behind, and whenever the Racing Point made the move, he would go behind as well.
Yeah, smart driving from Langfell. I think he recognises that if he battles David, then he's just going to cost himself more time. So maybe if he wants to get the move done on David, he'll wait until a little bit later on in the race. Smart driving, though, from the Williams man. Let's put him up into 6th. David now up into 5th. David's the next person in front of David to battle is Felgen, but Felgen's still holding on to DRS to Kieran Trapp in front. So that is helping both of those drivers, actually. It's helping Kieran Trapp hold on to 3rd on the road. It's helping Felgen hold on to 4th, and what could be a podium from pitting at the end of lap 1 because of damage. So that would be a great comeback for Felgen. It would also be a great comeback from David, who was also involved in the same incident. He's up into 5th place on this 2-stop strategy, doing a pretty decent job, but it's going to get a little bit more difficult from here on out. It's fair to say at this point in the race, unless he picks up a penalty or makes a mistake, Break FN is safe in that 2nd place. And I mean, we haven't mentioned him at all pretty much this race, but Simply Superman is just cruising out in front, 9.5 seconds in the lead, with absolutely nothing around him to keep him interested. So I'm amazed he's not managed to make a mistake just out of pure boredom. But here we go, down the back straight, and yet again, David not close enough, with no ERS in his back pocket either. David here, in a little bit between a rock and a hard place. Felgen's pace at this point in the race is saving him an opportunity of a podium.
And one thing I can criticize, I mean, in Langfield probably, and probably David as well, is that they haven't saved more ERS. I mean, they were in the faster tires. I mean, they could have saved when they had fresh tires and start to push, you know, maybe in these laps, lap 24, 25, because look at this. They are behind Feigen, and without ERS, they are not able to pass him. So that's probably the only thing that I can criticize about their race.
Yeah, Steve picks up another penalty. It's falling apart, unfortunately, for the Mercedes man. It's Graham now gets the move done. Steve goes deep into the hairpin at the final corner, so Graham up into 8th place now. Graham without a penalty here, so Graham is in a really good position in this race to gain possibly 3 places on the soft runners in front. He's not quite close enough to Kieran yet to capitalise on them, but Graham is flying and is penalty free, so you could see Graham maybe jump into the top 5 with the penalties at the end of this one. We'll keep an eye on that one. To lap 26, only 2.5 laps to go, and still David not looking like he's close enough to the back of the McLaren man to make a move. We'll wait and see what the runs are like. But Felgen now with a time penalty. That saves Kieran Trapp a little bit if Felgen can hold on, but that also now helps Graham even more. So could Graham get close enough to capitalise on all 5 drivers in front of him and pick up a penalty and pick up a podium? That would be an amazing comeback from him, who was the other driver also involved in that incident at the first corner. Here we go, Felgen trying to move on Kieran Trapp down the back straight. Kieran Trapp deciding to defend against it. Felgen looking to the inside line, but again not close enough in the braking zone. Kieran holds 3rd, Felgen holds 4th, and yet again David not got any straight line speed to capitalise.
Yeah, I mean, the McLaren needs to go all or nothing right now, because he had the podium secured. Now he doesn't. He needs to make the move. Oh, and Secret Dandy and Sean fighting for position. They're side by side into the right-handed corner now. The Mercedes trying to hold round the outside. Beautiful defensive move as the Renault push the Mercedes, and I think Sean backed out, knowing that if he kept on, they would end in the wall. And it seems like the Renault has gave the position back, unless he has damage. A little bit weird. It was beautiful until they made contact.
Yeah, it's a little bit reminiscent of what happened, unfortunately, between Charlie and Jan, but they both got away with it this time around, so they're able to continue on. Back to this battle for 3rd place. David a little bit closer into turn 1, but again, not close enough. We're on to lap 27 now as Kiki is getting the move done on Steve. As Steve, who was in a net second place.
No.
It just hasn't got the grip. He was in a net second place earlier on. He's now plummeted down to 10th with more penalties than his teammate behind, so it's looking like Steve is going to drop out of the top 10 in this race, which is a shame to see. It was looking so good for him earlier on. He's just not been able to sustain the pace.
Just imagine if the McLaren gets a puncture now. I mean, I don't want to curse him, but just imagine, because I'm seeing his tires and probably they are 70% or something like that, because it has a lot of graining, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a puncture in the last lap.
And David may be thinking about a move this time around into turn 12. It's going to be really late on the brakes down the inside. Can he get that one stopped? He can. He uses Felgen a little bit, but from a mile back, David gets the move done, and Langfeld now trying to come back as well. Felgen late on the brakes, trying to defend against it. Can't really do so. It's just a little bit of a late move on the brakes there to try and hold on to it, but he doesn't have the grip on the hards. And now here comes Tom around the outside of turn 15 to make it the inside for 16. That is him up a place as well. So Tom, that looks beautiful for him. Graham now thinking about a move, and that is the problem with these DRS trains. You get overtaken once and you just plummet down the field. Felgen's older tyres meant he didn't have the pace to fight back. That now leaves Kieran Trapp pretty vulnerable at this point of the race. David hasn't got DRS down the pit straight, but he could have it down the back straight. The good thing, at least for Kieran Trapp, is that David has no ERS left to fight with, as Graham really late on the brakes, far too late on the brakes from Graham down the inside of Felgen, and he's crashed into the back of Tom. Tom's gotten away with no damage. I would imagine Graham's going to let him through. He does so, but what could have been a podium for Graham on penalties throws it away with a dive that he didn't really need to make.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, he had to put him by penalty. So right now it's going to be between David and Kieran. Surprisingly, David being able to hold on there. I mean, he's 8 tenths behind. Unless he makes a miracle, he's not going to be able to try and make the move. But let's see. Weirdest things have happened.
Weird things have happened, yeah, but coming out of that corner, it's 9 tenths. That's too big of a gap. He just doesn't have any more pace left, I think, in these soft tyres. It's more about Langfeld behind, maybe challenging for 4th, but he's not close enough either. It looks like, I don't want to jinx it because he's had a great race, but Kieran Trapp looking like he could be getting his first podium. We're looking at two new podium cities in TTML, but we're going to cut back to our race leaders. He rounds the penultimate corner for the final time. He rounds the final corner for the final time. Not only is this his 5th win of the season, but Simply Superman is your Division 3 Season 4 champion. What a season it's been for Simply Superman. Utter domination in the second half of the season. Break FN's going to pick up his first podium in TTML. Brilliant drive from him. And Kieran Trapp is going to hold on for his first podium in TTML as well. What a drive from both of those two. David tried his best, but he couldn't hold on. Langfeld with more penalties is dropping down the field. That means that it is Graham. Graham somehow still gets 5th, despite that carnage on the final lap that he was involved with. Tom gets 6th ahead of Felgen. Langfeld drops to 8th with those late penalties. Kiki in 9th ahead of Steve, who rounds off the top 10, but not enough can be said about Simply Superman in the races in the past 3 or 4 races. Utter domination. No one has been able to get near him, and he's fully deserving of the Division 3 title.
Yeah, I mean, the whole season he has been dominating. He has been showing why he deserves a promotion. Really solid driving. I mean, what else can we say? I don't think it didn't matter what Janet did. He would have taken anyway. So, congratulations to him. Completely deserved it.
Yeah, completely deserved championship from him. This is the championship, well, since the first season of TTML that he's been threatening. The past 2 seasons he's had good pace, but it's never really come together for him, whether that's luck or just incidents. He's sorted it out this season and has come on strong. This is the Simply Superman we were expecting to see. Utter domination. What a brilliant championship it has been for him. But what as well, that was a brilliant race, and it is great to see 2 new drivers on the podium in this championship as well. Break FN gets his first podium of the season and his first podium in TTML. Kieran Trapp also gets his first podium, which is brilliant to see. He continues his upward trajectory in this championship. David recovers to 4th after that horror of a first lap. Graham recovers to 5th despite getting damage on the final lap, so who knows where he could have been without that. In fact, without that, it's pretty certain that he probably would have been on the podium instead of his teammate. So I think his teammate will be thanking Graham a little bit later on. Tom recovers to 6th from 18th on the grid ahead of Felgen, who pitted at the end of lap 1, took the hards to the end, but just got swamped in those final couple of laps. Langfeld in 8th place ahead of Kiki and Steve, your top 10. Outside the top 10, it is Sean ahead of Atlas Copo, Hero Jokin, Secret Dundee, who pitted for a second time in that race for no apparent reason. Stinner in 15th with the fastest lap of the race, not the race he would have wanted. Charlie in 16th after a drive-through, and Jan and Flores, your 2 retirees from this race. That's Jan's first retirement of the season, and at the wrong point in the championship for it to come. Championship over with 1 round to go. We head to Singapore for the final round of the season, and I tell you what, Singapore with no championship battle going on, those drivers are going to be gunning it for the final win on this game.
Yeah, I mean, despite the championship being decided already, doesn't mean that the last race is going to be terrible. I mean, hopefully it will be a good one. And if I was Superman, I would make it even more interesting, you know, for spectators and commentators. I would start at the back, you know, try to have some fun. I hope he does. I hope he listens to this. If you're listening, please do it. I mean, we want to have fun. But yeah, I mean, hopefully next week will still be really, really good.
Yeah, I imagine it will be a really good race as well. Singapore always throws up a good race in terms of strategy, maybe a little bit of carnage thrown in. Weather does tend to play a part in Singapore races a lot as well. So tune into that one next week. That is going to be an absolutely brilliant race. But that is it for tonight. Championship is over. Simply Superman is our Division 3 champion. Actually, before we go, we have to decide on driver of the day. So who are you going to go for driver of the day? I think we have to agree on who we're going to pick. So who was your pick for driver of the day today?
Lots of candidates.
Yeah.
But if I have to choose one, I don't know. I would say either Kieran or David, because both of them made a really good race. Even Bray could be a candidate. I mean, there's many. I'm going to pick Kieran just because he picked his first podium in the season, and because despite at some points, you know, looking without pace because he was behind Steve and not being able to pass him, he stayed calm and made the moves quite formidable. So, yeah, I would give him my driver of the day.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one with Kieran. I think he didn't break under pressure. He had an absolutely brilliant race for him. His best race of the season as well to pick up a first podium, and fully deserved as well. He avoided all the carnage at the first corner and then made the moves count when he needed to. So I think I agree with you on that one in terms of Kieran Trapp getting our driver of the day. So congrats to him for that one. But that is it for tonight. Tune in to League Racing TV this time tomorrow for Divisions 4 and 5 for the final two, the penultimate rounds of those two championships as well. I think we are back next week if I remember correctly. We'll wait and see. There might be a week's break for the Euros. We'll wait and see. But either way, keep abreast of all the news happening with League Racing TV on Twitter if you want to find out as to when we are racing and any leagues, or if you are a league racer and want to join, or a commentator and want to join League Racing TV, follow us on Twitter at League Racing TV. That would be a great shout as well. We're also not far away from 1,000 subscribers on this channel, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We're only 48 away from 1,000, which would be an amazing milestone for this channel. But thank you so much to Paco for joining me once again in the commentary box. Thank you to everyone for taking part as well, and we will see you this time either next week or in 2 weeks' time. We'll wait and see, but either way, we will see you soon. Goodbye.